Evening, everyone. I am good. Thank you so much for asking. How are you guys doing? And while you're telling me how you're doing, please also give me an update कि assignment जो project है हमारा, where are you all right now? We should have completed taking the responses from people by now. Are we at that stage yet with our project work? Questionnaire is made. ठीक है? We'll ask why today. Responses are left. No problem. That's okay. Just a small reminder that the submission is, I think the submission would be coming in the upcoming days soon, right? So please don't delay it. Okay? By right now, you should have completed the literature review plus the questionnaire plus the answers as well. Okay? So maximum to maximum, try and complete it by Thursday. Please do not delay it even more because after this, you'll need to write a compiled report with your responses as well. So don't push it beyond this week. Try and get it done by Thursday or chalo 20th, maximum 20th. Okay? All right. Um, Iram, type and keep it. I will give you all a format to submit the report. Okay? Okay. What did we do in the previous session? Who remembers and who's going to tell me? Waiting for answers in the chat box. Okay, we have 27 people. Wellness wheel. Excellent. We did mental health. Do you remember anything specific about previous session which stayed with you? Yes, we did discuss about mental health. We talked about mental health issues, the bucket activity, ADHD, biopsychosocial model. We also touched a little bit on autism and benefits of good mental health. Right. Today, we're going to be talking about how we use psychology in an applied manner. So, essentially, we'll be discussing a bit more about applied psychology. We have a lot of videos today, and the session is a lot more interactive. Okay, so it's less on content, more on visual stimuli and like discussing a little bit, analyzing some examples. So, I would love as much, sharing as possible. Okay. Okay. Today, we're going to be trying and understanding why people behave the way they do. We'll be talking about psychological influences on decision making. How do we improve communication and conflict management skills? How do we apply emotional intelligence in relationships and workplaces in your situation, college and learning and school places, educational setups basically? How do we understand the different leadership approaches and their impact, and then try and understand how we use psychological principles in a professional and personal setting? Okay. Now, firstly, when we talk about human behavior, we've discussed about the fact that human behavior refers to everything people think, feel, and do. Can someone therefore tell me that behavior is influenced by biological, psychological, and social factors? What are these biological, social, psychological, and social factors? I'm sorry, Parisha, you cannot have my number. You can email me or you can share your concern with Shubham and he'll convey it to me. Okay. Yes, what are these biological, psychological, and social factors? DNA and A and RNA are biological. Excellent. What else? Biological is genetical factors, correct. Upbringing and society is social. Emotions, very good. What else comes under social? Caste, very nice, excellent. Right, okay. And what else comes under psychological? Is psychological just the, you know, our way of coping and all those things? Ahana, abhi मैं जो कर रही हूँ, this is other than our project, so please wait. Keep your project related questions for later. ठीक है? Mental well-being, emotional intelligence, all of these are also parts of psychological, right? And sociological or social factors here would be how our caste interacts with our mental health, or how our caste interacts with our behavior, how our class interacts with our behavior, religion, tradition, culture. What do these things tell us about behavior, right? And how they impact our behavior. All right. Now we come to why do we do what we do? We talk about reinforcement theory. What's the meaning of reinforcement? Does anyone here know the meaning of reinforcement? How do we define reinforcement? Recurring, okay. So, reinforcement is anything which increases a particular behavior. Okay, please remember, reinforcement is anything which increases a behavior. Punishment is anything which decreases a behavior. Okay, there is a very important difference between punishment and reinforcement. Anything that reduces a particular behavior is called punishment, and anything which increases a particular behavior is called reinforcement. Now, I've written over here about positive and negative reinforcement, and I've talked about positive and negative punishment, right? What is positive reinforcement? If you do something that is favorable, let's say that you are sitting in a classroom and you're answering a lot of answers. So the teacher gives you a chocolate. No, Parasha. I'm explaining the difference. Please keep notes about this because it's quite important. Let's say you're in a classroom, you're answering a lot of questions, and the teacher gives you a chocolate. So the teacher is giving you a chocolate in a hope that you will answer even more questions. So the teacher here is using positive reinforcement. Okay? Negative reinforcement is when you're taking something away to increase the chances of the behavior happening. Let's say that the teacher has been giving a lot of surprise tests. Okay? And then she notices that, okay, hey, you know what? Students are actually studying now because they're afraid of when these surprise tests will be taken. So let me reduce the surprise tests to ensure the students keep studying. That is negative reinforcement. Did you understand the difference between positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement? Positive reinforcement is when I give something to increase behavior. Negative reinforcement is when I take away something to increase behavior. Both of these are just for increasing the behavior. Okay? Okay. Now we talk about positive and negative punishment. Punishment is always given to reduce a particular behavior. Okay? So positive punishment would be giving something to a particular person to reduce the behavior that they are engaged in. For example, if you don't complete your homework, your teacher makes you do the homework 10 times and bring it the next day. That is positive punishment. Negative punishment is taking away something to reduce the behavior of it happening again. Let's say that you are spending a lot of time on your phone during exam season and your parents say नहीं करने हैं ये सब पढ़ाई करनी है, they're taking your phone away. So they are taking your phone away and your amount of time you're spending on your phone is reducing. That is negative punishment. Do you all understand the difference between positive and negative punishment? It's a little complicated. कोई बात नहीं. I'll give you another example. ठीक है? Let's say कि वापस आपका bottom line is reinforcement में we are using it to increase behavior and punishment में we are using it to reduce behavior. Let's say कि you don't do your homework. So your teacher tells you to do the homework 10 times. So she's giving you added work so that the next time you reduce the possibility of not doing your homework. That is called positive punishment. She is giving you more work so that next time you reduce the possibility of not doing your homework. She's giving you more homework and making you do this practice again and again so that the next time you don't skip your homework. Do you understand this example I gave you? Yes, Ira. Excellent. Giving something to reduce something is positive punishment. Another example I'll give you is ki if you fail to do your homework, and sometimes teachers may use a little rash method which they should not be using, like they'll make you kneel, for example. So they are making you kneel so that the next time you don't forget to do your homework. Correct? So that is positive punishment. Does that make sense? Negative punishment is taking away something to reduce your behavior. You are playing on your iPad. You are reading a fiction book which is not related to your exams. आपके कल एग्जाम्स है एंड आप बुक पढ़ रहे हो अच्छे से बैठ के. Your teacher come your parent comes in the room and tells you, what are you doing? You have an exam today. Tomorrow you should be studying, right? And they take away the book. Because they take away the book, you don't have a way to continue reading the book. That is negative punishment. Does that make sense? Okay. Now I'll give you one example. You tell me, is it positive or negative reinforcement or positive or negative punishment? Okay? Okay. A student answers a question correctly, so the teacher praises the student. What is this? Positive, negative, reinforcement, punishment? A student answers a question correctly, so the teacher praises them. Positive reinforcement. Amazing. Okay. A student is talking in class. A student is talking in class, so the teacher scolds the student. A student is talking in class, so the teacher scolds the students. Punishment is correct. How is it negative? Positive punishment. Excellent, Iram. Because the teacher is scolding the student, right? She's giving the student something to feel bad about. Samjha? Samjha na, guys? If the teacher was ignoring the student, ताकि वो शांति से अपने आप पे ही बैठ जाए, मतलब, that would be a negative punishment. Because the teacher is not giving the student attention. Right? Okay. Parisha, I'll give you another example, फिर आप समझ जाओगे. Okay. Let's see. A student studies early to avoid last-minute stress. A student studies early to avoid last-minute stress. So the student is avoiding something that they don't like. Negative reinforcement, because you're removing something unnice to increase behavior. Right? So you're removing the last-minute stress. Therefore, the chances of you studying better are increasing. Okay? Last one. A teenager misses their curfew, so the parents take away their phone. A teenager misses their curfew, so the parents take away their phone. Negative punishment. Excellent. The teenager has missed their curfew, so the parent is taking away something that they like. Right? So that they don't miss their curfew again. Yeah? Okay. Excellent. So that was reinforcement theory. Now we'll talk about motivation. Motivation में मैंने लिखा है extrinsic and intrinsic. What is the meaning of intrinsic? What is the meaning of extrinsic? Yes, intrinsic is internal, one that comes from within. Very good. What about extrinsic? Extrinsic is external. Excellent, right, Rehat? Outer, correct. So, a person engaging in an NGO 4 days a week just because they really like giving back to society. That would be which motivation? Intrinsic. Correct. And a student working on a team project just to get like a 10 on 10. Which motivation is this? Extrinsic. Very good. Can someone give me another example of extrinsic and intrinsic motivation? One example of intrinsic and one example of extrinsic. Burger from Burger King. Okay, Iram, do you mean that, you're doing something so that you can get a burger from Burger King? That's why it's called an extrinsic? Huh. Nice, good example. Madhav says intrinsic is you create content because it gives you peace. Correct. Gia is saying intrinsic is like self-motivation, sort of, right? You derive pleasure from just the act of the work, not the outcome of the work, right? Okay, so that's intrinsic and extrinsic. What is habit formation? We're saying habit formation when there is a cue, a routine, and a reward. Okay. Here I have written reward. Why can't we have punishment in habit? If we're talking about habit formation, I could have very well written reward slash punishment, no? Yes. Correct. So whenever you're being given a punishment, you reduce the behavior you're engaging in. That is the core principle. Habit mein it's ulta. There is a cue, a routine, and then you get rewarded for it. Okay? Let's say, let's pick a healthier habit. Recently, you've been very zoned out in class, and it's gotten you extremely concerned about, your behavior in class and how active you are in class. So what happens is you um, take 30 minutes before sleeping just to stay away from the phone. Okay. Now the cue here is the fact कि आप क्लास में zoned out हो, आपको अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, टीचर्स को अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, टीचर्स पेरेंट्स से कंप्लेन कर रहे हैं. The cue is the trigger. The routine is what you are doing to change or maintain that habit. Here, you are trying to maintain a habit of sleeping properly, sleeping hygiene, right? So you are saying you are engaging in the routine of keeping your phone away so that you can calm down, you can relax, and then you can go to sleep. Cue is the trigger, Parasha. कहाँ से start होता है? And then, because you've been sleeping on time, because you've been active in class, you feel positive about yourself. You feel people noticing that, okay, you know what, this student is again back into their original self. That is your reward. Okay, so that is habit formation. And lastly, we've talked about cognitive biases. Can someone name a couple of cognitive biases? We did this in the first class itself. Social proof, correct. What else? What's the halo effect? Negative bias, right? What is the halo effect? Yes, there's anchoring bias. Very good, Iram. Confirmation bias. Fantastic. So you'll remember these biases, right? These are also pertaining to why we behave the way we behave. We think of a particular thing, which is most often a bias, and therefore we act in a particular way. If our first interaction with someone was positive, we think that they are a healthy, good person, and therefore we continue engaging with them. Right? So that is about behavior. Now we talk about decision making. Okay, one second. Consumer psychology studies why people buy products and make decisions. What we're saying is that people don't just buy products, they buy emotions, they buy solutions, and they buy identities. If you're thinking that the reason a person buys um, a, a particular brand of soap over another brand just because इस soap को इतने अच्छे से advertise किया है, it's not just that. It could also be the fact that this brand is connected to something which is more meaningful, like not tested on animals, for example. Right? So we're not saying that decisions are just based on a particular outcome, but also on the fact that they are based on and associated with certain emotions and experiences. Correct, Iram. Like Santur mom, right? Yes, correct. Yes, Madhav. Excellent, right? So now when we talk about the factors affecting decisions, we're saying that there are psychological factors. Psychological factors here refer to perception, attention, and emotion. The way we perceive, attend to stimuli, and how we feel about it impacts our decisions. If we perceive a dog, let's say Madhav mentioned about dogs, right? If we think and if we perceive a dog as being someone who is kind and not very worrisome to indulge with, तो हम उसे attention देते हैं. We focus on the dog, we notice the dog, and we give them biscuits because we feel connected to the dog. We feel sympathy, pity, etc. Right? But if you are afraid of dogs or if you think that dogs are always going to bite you, and if you see a dog, you won't focus on trying to feed the dog. You'll try to escape from there because you're afraid of the dog. Right? So this is how factors or psychological factors affect our decisions. Now there are principles of influence. We've talked about social proof when we were discussing about um, cognitive biases. So can someone tell me what is social proof? To fit in society, we do certain things. Correct. So because we want to adjust and fit in with other people, we try and engage in the behavior or make decisions that they also are approving of. Right? Then there is authority. Can you give me an example of how our decisions are impacted by authority? Think to any simple class project that you have had to do जो आपको पसंद बिल्कुल नहीं है, but आपको करना है. Right? क्यों करना है? Because teacher ने बोला. Yeah, because this will lead to like, an outcome in your report card. Can you give me another example of authority? Yes, asking for permission. Very good, Iram. Okay, thank you, Madhav. Excellent, right? So because there's an authority and status attached to the person at one side, therefore we follow them. Correct, Aradhya, like listening to your mom. What about reciprocity? How do we discuss that? How does reciprocity impact our decisions? If someone did something good to me, I'll do something good to them. Yes, very good, mother. When we help someone, they feel bound to return it. Reciprocity means you give me something, I will give you something. We're returning the favor. Correct? So, just because this one person helped me in that exam while studying, I will help them back in the next project that they are working on, जो मुझे actually करना ही नहीं है, but I'll just help them. In terms of birthday gifts and even birthday wishes for that matter, right, Iram? Because sometimes it gets so awkward. You don't talk to a person for the whole year, and then suddenly on their birthday, you're like, happy birthday. And they say happy birthday. And that's it. There's no other connection. Why is that happening? Because acha, this person wished me on my birthday as well. Right? Then we talk about scarcity. Can someone explain to me what scarcity would look like? What would scarcity look like? Lack of something. Correct. Small, scarce. Correct. So when we have a lack of something, we think it is more valuable. Like when you are going to a particular mall and they say something like, wow, limited sale on limited goods. Because we think कि अच्छा बहुत कम है, चलो खरीद लेते हैं. चाहिए जरूरत है इसकी नहीं, बट बहुत कम है ना, पता नहीं कब वापस होगा, खरीद लेते. Right? Okay. Decision making biases impacting. We talk about anchoring. We had discussed anchoring, I think, in the previous session. What is anchoring bias? We have a particular anchor, and then we make decisions based on that anchor. Like for example, if once we may have seen a perfume being sold for 200 rupees in a particular store, the next time we go to any other store, we will keep this in mind कि ये perfume 200 का मिला था वहां पे, तो यहाँ पे या तो इससे कम में मिलेगा या तो सेम अमाउंट पे मिलेगा, वरना मुझे नहीं खरीदना है. So you have a basic core anchor, and then you base all your decisions on that. Right? Yes. Next is loss aversion. Can anyone take a guess on what loss aversion means? Reducing the chances of loss, correct. So, let's say that right now inflation चल रहा है. So the cost of gold, for example, goes up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So whenever it is lower, we think, कि अच्छा, you know what, inflation चल रहा है, you never know when it will come up, and I don't want to lose my money. Even if I don't require the gold right now, let me quickly go and buy it. Do I require the gold? No. But is it right now come? हाँ. उसका cost कम है, right? So if I buy it in the future, I will have more loss of money. Right now, I'll have less loss of money. So let me go ahead and buy the gold. Do I need it? Doesn't matter. कम में मिल रहा है ना, खरीद लेते हैं. Right? Okay. Next is framing effect. What is framing effect? One second, I'll just share my screen again. Yes. Very good. Very good, Iram, right? So when our decisions change on the basis of the information presented or the options presented to us, That is called framing effect. Can someone give me an example? What's an example of framing effect? You must have noticed in debates, no? When there is a neutral person or when there is a judge, for example, and both the parties are arguing on this is my opinion and the other person says this is my opinion. If the judge interacts with the first party first, so the possibility of them being influenced by their opinion is higher until they interact with the other party, right? Right, Morvi. Very good example, right? We don't really know the facts. Someone told us, इसलिए हमने मान लिया क्योंकि they noticed कि अच्छा we use moisturizer and they are giving us an information which is new for us because they seem so sure about it. They must be correct. We are buying a watch from one store. Same watch on the other store is on a scheme or something. We'll prefer to buy the watch from the second store. Yes. Do we know if the scheme will actually benefit us? Like a lot of people, I don't know if you all know this, but a lot of stores, what they do is they'll mark, like, sale ke time pe they'll say this product is being sold for, uh, acha, yes, serum. Like this product is being sold for 20% off. But actually they put the original price itself. They just say ki acha earlier we were selling it for this much. They were not. They were selling it for less only. But they do this to fool people into buying products, right? So that is framing effect. Now this is a little bit about consumer psychology. We're trying to understand what makes people buy things. Now, what we'll do is we're going to analyze a couple of advertisements. I want to understand a bit about what you see in the advertisement and the creativity angle of it. ठीक है? Okay. Can you see this first ad over here? क्या लिखा है यहाँ पे? Yoga center. And what is this over here? It's a woman doing a yoga pose, right? Flexibility, correct. So if you were to see an advertisement like this, what would be the first thought that you have? Straw, right. Then you would try and look closer to at the picture because why is someone having a straw over there? Then once you look closer to the picture, you will see this person here. And then you'll go, ऐसा क्यों बनाया है? Then you'll look नीचे and you'll realize, अच्छा, yoga center का advertisement है. So the more energy, the more time we spend deciphering this ad, the more likely we are to feel influenced to go and try out this yoga center. ठीक है? That is simply stated this advertisement. If you had to rate this advertisement out of 10, what rating would you give it? Sometimes people just ignore these. Definitely people ignore these, I think. Um, right, it would take a lot of time and effort and like focus to look at the object, right? To look at the advertisement. So definitely someone would ignore it. But if there is someone who is standing close by to the poster and notices it, then it's a creative thing for them to try out. है ना? What about this advertisement? JBL का. I understood it's noise cancellation JBL earbuds, but why is it so interesting? Like, what makes this set apart from other JBL earbuds ka earphones ka the president piece from World? Okay. See, guys, in this advertisement also they are talking about yes, Iram, excellent. And Madhav, very good. Current affairs, right? They are highlighting कि अभी ना ये सब चल रहा है दुनिया में. If you want to shut down the noise, if you want to take a bit of peace and calm, use our headphones. We will protect you from the noise. Right? If you had to rate this advertisement out of 10, how much would you give it? 10 out of 10. Very nice. 9 on 10. Excellent. Great. Pihu, I think you had raised your hand earlier. You can put your question in the chat box and then I'll answer it. Okay? Because today we have lots to cover. So, yes. Okay. What about this one? किसका ऐड है ये? उबर का, right? Uber, so many x else. Trains now on Uber. Uber trains, right? Can book trains on Uber. No, this is just an example of an advertisement they had earlier. They tried it out. I think it's not possible. They gave it a shot. Nahi chala apparently. But what do you think of when you look at this advertisement? You see, okay, Uber is a big brand. Uber is a big brand. It's a trustworthy brand. Makes traveling quite easier if you're looking for non-public transport areas. Right? Plus, Uber mein there are so many credit systems and all those things. Right? And it is involving what it's already offering, which is the higher, more seats ka this thing. Right? So therefore, so many X's. Correct? So it's like a play on words, sort of. Right? Okay. Many people accommodated, correct. Very good, even. So, out of 10, what would be your rating? 6. Okay, interesting. 7, 5, okay, 8. Okay. Amazing. Let's talk about this last one, right? I found this one to be very interesting. Dolmio ka tomato ketchup hai ye. Fake. Okay. Sauce. Right. But look at this, no? There's a tomato slice over here. There's a tomato slice over here being peeled off. Right? So you think, wow, it's made of fresh tomatoes, it's made of real product, authentic, organic stuff. Right? It reflects the quality of the ketchup. Exactly. So here again, you can see there's a very creative way of showing what different ways you can use to, uh, you know, broadcast and advertise products rather than just saying, "Ki, this is our product and this is what we do." Right? Okay. Out of 10, 9 on 10. Okay, Jia, it's nothing new, wouldn't make me buy it. No problem, that's okay, Malvi. Iram, Madhav, very good, excellent. ठीक है. पीहू, I think आपका हाथ raised था, तो मैं जरा आंसर कर लेती हूँ. बोलो पीहू. Prithvi, see, it's not about fake or not fake, ठीक है? Right now, we're not analyzing on how honest the product is. What I'm trying to tell you is look at the way they are framing the advertisement. अच्छा, okay, okay. Thank you for clarifying that, पीहू. ठीक है? Okay, let's move ahead. We're talking about communication, emotional intelligence, conflict resolution. Can someone tell me why communication matters? If all we can communicate is through GIFs and memes, why does communication matter? Resolving things to share info. एक second में आती हूँ. Removing misunderstanding. Interacting with people. To maintain an emotional connection. To share feelings. Okay, ठीक है. So if I may ask, what would happen in a world without communication? What would happen in a world without communication? Misunderstandings, blunders, confusion. What else would happen? Loneliness. Yes, Iram, very true. Loneliness will become quite prominent, no? You don't have anyone to talk to, you don't have anyone to convince, to like converse with. So people are unable to express their emotions, very good, Anaga. And therefore they feel isolated, and therefore their mental health becomes poorer. Correct? Introvert people mostly, yeah, definitely. Right. Okay. Now, when we're talking about the different styles of communication, We're saying there's passive aggressive and passive aggressive. Chalo, let's talk. Oh, and there's also assertive. Can someone tell me what passive communication is like? What's an example of passive communication? Passive communication where the person is not conveying their true meaning, their true thoughts, their true feelings. Right? Not always, Madhav. So, a person who's communicating passively is not conveying their true emotions and their true feelings. They are just saying things on a superficial level, and their real motive is hidden. Right? There is aggressive, which is pure, downright anger. If someone is yelling at you, if someone is cursing you, all these are aggressive ways of communication. Then there is passive aggressive. Give me some examples of passive aggressive. Give me some examples of passive aggressive, guys. Chalo. What would be passive aggressive communication? Saying fine when you're not. Oh, yeah, definitely, right? Like you may have an argument with your mom, okay? And then after a while of apologizing, etc., you go to her later, and मम्मी मम्मी ठीक हो आप? She goes, हाँ भाई मैं ठीक ही हूँ. So obviously she's not ठीक, right? Isn't it that obvious? But वो बोल नहीं रहे हैं ना कि वो बोल रहे हैं कि मैं ठीक हूँ. So there's aggression, and there's also a hidden aspect of, what they're actually feeling. Correct? What about assertive? A lot of people get confused in assertive and aggressive, but there is a lot of difference. What is assertive communication? Getting your point across, being certain and dominant about it. Okay? We assert our communication on others, never listen to them. Not really. Not being a listener for your knowledge. Not really, guys. Assertive communication refers to here is my point, here is my opinion. I'm listening to your opinion, and I respect your opinion, but I'm not necessarily agreeing with. Correct, Anunya. Communicating firmly but kindly. So you're not telling someone to shut up. You're telling them, I'm currently getting some work done. Could you please lower your tone? Okay? When you're working in a group setting, when you step out of office to work in whatever setup you're working in, you will often experience a lot of people who are using different rules and regulations and who are assigning a lot more work to you, for example. ऐसे situations में you may not be able to go and tell them क्यों क्यों दे रहे हो इतना काम क्या चाहिए आपको, and you should not also do that. But you can go and tell them, right, that hey, I have a lot on my plate right now, and I realize this is an important task, but I would like some help, or I won't be able to do it till the end of this week. Can I get some more days to complete the work? Can we extend the deadline? Right? So that is assertive communication. Gia, passive communication is when I'm telling one thing but I'm meaning another. So when I look at you and I tell you, you know what, I'm fine, dude. I've been working for like 14 hours a day, every day for the past week. But I'm fine. Don't worry about it. Of course, I'm not fine. Of course, my brain is, tired. My body is tired. My mind is tired. But I'm saying कि मैं ठीक हूँ. Right? So that is passive communication, where I actually want to say something else, but I end up saying something which is societally acceptable. Not really, Madhav. Not always intentionally. Sometimes it's unintentional as well. Right? Okay. Okay. Emotional intelligence. Who gave the term emotional intelligence? I'm hoping you guys might be knowing this. Who gave the term emotional intelligence? I'm thinking about ChatGPT Goldman. Peter Salovey and Goldman. Salovey and Meyer and Goldman. They gave the term of emotional intelligence. How would you describe emotional intelligence? I have to share my screen again. एक second, रुक जाओ. How would you describe emotional intelligence? क्या होता है emotional intelligence? Ability to understand your emotions, be aware of your own emotions, others' emotions as well. Very nice. पीहू आप बार बार हाथ रेस कर रहे हो, so just do you have a question? Do you have something to share? If not, please be careful of it. Regulation of emotions. Yeah. Understanding everyone's emotions, being respectful. Great. So does anyone here know the 5 components of emotional intelligence? What are the 5 components of emotional intelligence? There's empathy, definitely. Morvi, what is empathy? Okay, Iram, you know two. What are those two components of emotional intelligence? Self-awareness and social skills. Excellent. Very good. So there is self-awareness, social skills, there's empathy. Yes, Morvi, excellent. That is what empathy stands for. What else is there? Self-awareness, empathy, social skills. Because there is self-awareness, there will also be self-regulation. And then there is motivation. But I have a question here, right? We know what these words stand for. We know that self awareness means being aware of your emotions, being aware of your strengths, your weaknesses. We know that self regulation refers to being able to manage your emotions, regulate your emotions. Empathy is putting yourself in someone else's shoes. Social skills is how we communicate with others, how we respect and understand their opinions, etc. But why is motivation there in emotional intelligence? What does motivation have to do with emotional intelligence? मोटिवेशन तो कुछ और है ना. Yes, Morvi. Excellent. Our behavior is also influenced by our emotion. Therefore, motivation is a part of emotional intelligence because if we don't understand why people are doing something, you won't understand what they are gaining from it. Therefore, your learning of their behavior will be very superficial. Right? ठीक है. Let's watch a video now.
Emotional intelligence.
सुनाई दे रहा है, guys? Thank you.
Also known as EI or EQ, is the brain's ability to see feelings coming and then to use them, listen to what they've got to say, and manage them effectively. People with lots of EI recognize their own emotions and can identify them in others. This allows them to discern between different feelings, adjust their inner states, and communicate better. Perhaps the most relevant model of emotional intelligence was developed by the psychologists John Mayer and Peter Salovey, who defined it in 1990 as the sum of 4 skills: perceiving, using, understanding, and managing emotions. Perceiving emotions is our ability to detect them in faces, pictures, and voices, including in ourselves. It's the foundation of emotional intelligence and makes all other processing of sentimental information possible. Using emotions is the ability to align our hearts with our heads. People who are emotionally intelligent can perceive their changing moods and as a result may change what they do to channel their feelings effectively. Understanding emotions is our ability to comprehend the complex relationships between feelings. It involves recognizing and describing how moods evolve and change over time. Managing emotions is the ability to regulate feelings in ourselves and in others. People who are good at that can control their sentiments, manage their moods, and are able to influence the emotions of others. While some people seem to be naturally gifted with all 4 abilities, others have to work hard on every single one of them. The good news is, most of us can improve our EI through mindfulness, exercises, therapy, and education, and it seems it's worth the effort. Higher emotional intelligence often correlates with higher academic and professional success. This is because our emotions and the way we manage them impact directly on our brain's ability to listen and learn. As Peter Salovey concluded, people in good moods are better at inductive reasoning and creative problem solving. So what do you think? Is emotional intelligence something we can and should try to teach in schools? And if so, how? Tell us your thoughts and experiences of improving your own EI in the comments below.
What is emotional intelligence? क्या पहला वीडियो देख के what is emotional intelligence? Understanding, acknowledging, putting emotions to effective use. Very good. What about there was this one statement that said that people who have more emotional intelligence are able to be more creative. Do you agree with that? Why? Why is it that people who have more emotional intelligence are able to be more creative? Understanding perspectives forces us to think and imagine more. Correct. They tend to be more meaningful and aware. They are also aware of the fact that human experience is quite complicated, right? They get every emotion from every sense. Correct. So their understanding of emotions is not unidimensional. It's quite multidimensional. They're trying to understand things from a more intense, more detailed manner. Right? ठीक है. All right. Conflict resolution. Bol. What are the most common causes of conflict? Before saying, miscommunication and this and that, let's stick to the simple part. आपके around, as a person who's in 9th to 12th class, what are the most common causes of conflict? Differences in opinion, disagreeing to any point of view, conflict of interest, disappointment. They are seniors, yes. Friendships, not being able to understand their perspective. Friendships में भी conflicts होते हैं. Correct. So, knowing that these are the most common causes of conflict, we all have a strategy to like reduce that conflict, to resolve the conflict. Because as individuals, we don't like conflict situations, right? Because they cause a lot of stress and energy, and they require a lot of commitment to deal with that situation. So we are trying to reduce the conflict, right? And that is where Thomas Kilman's styles of conflict resolution come in. Okay? Let's watch this video really quickly.
Brainitos presents the 5 conflict styles. Which is yours? Conflict. No matter how you slice it, we're all at the center of it at some point. It could be with family members, friends, people you work with, and even complete strangers. But have you ever wondered why certain conflicts flare into a full-on battle, while others simply fizzle out? Well, the truth is, everyone has their own unique personality. We all handle stressful situations differently. When it comes to conflict, we tend to default to certain behaviors that reflect our personal style of dealing with it. If you want to handle conflicts more effectively and find mutually beneficial solutions, it's important to understand your own conflict style and recognize the styles of others. So let's dive in and find out where you stand. Number 1, avoiding. Some folks have a strong aversion to conflict and would rather avoid it altogether. They might downplay an issue or pretend it doesn't exist instead of confronting it head on. Now, there are some positives to avoiding conflict. It can keep arguments from happening and help maintain a peaceful relationship. It also gives people time to think about their feelings and come up with a thoughtful response. But there are some downsides too. Avoiding conflict can mean issues don't get resolved and communication suffers, and that can damage relationships. It may also create tension and make people feel uneasy around each other. And let's not forget that avoiding conflict means missing out on the chance to learn and grow from difficult situations. Number 2, accommodating. People with the accommodating style tend to be cooperative and willing to compromise to prevent conflicts. On the bright side, accommodating can help maintain relationships by prioritizing the needs and wants of others. It creates a generous and kind atmosphere that contributes to a positive social environment. Plus, being accommodating can help develop a sense of community and teamwork, which is great for group settings. The downside is that accommodating can lead to a lack of assertiveness, often resulting in sacrificing one's own needs and desires. It can also cause frustration and resentment if a person feels that their priorities are constantly ignored. Number 3, competing. Those who display this style have a tendency to prioritize their own needs and goals over that of others. The positive aspect of competing is that it allows people to assert their needs and desires, which is important in certain situations. It can even make one seem more confident. Competing can also encourage personal growth and challenge individuals to push themselves to their limits. On the negative side, when people become overly competitive and focused on winning at all cost, it can create a sense of aggression and hostility. Number 4, compromising. When it comes to conflict, some people are all about finding a middle ground. They're flexible and open to compromise. The good thing about compromising is that it creates a sense of fairness and balance and encourages cooperation and communication in order to find a mutually acceptable outcome. But sometimes compromising can be a bit of a bummer. People might feel like they're giving up too much, and that can leave them feeling dissatisfied. Plus, when there's too much focus on finding a middle ground, one might forget to stand up for their own needs. Number 5, collaborating. Collaborators prioritize finding a solution that works for everyone, instead of just focusing on their own needs and wants. Of course, this is often a good thing because it leads to mutual respect and understanding as people work together to find a solution that benefits everyone involved. It can also foster creativity and innovation since it encourages thinking outside the box and considering multiple perspectives. But let's not forget the challenges that come with collaboration. For example, if there's a lack of trust or communication, it can be tough to find that win-win solution. And sometimes, it can be rather time-consuming to come up with the perfect plan. Hopefully, you now have a better understanding of yourself and others when it comes to resolving conflicts. It's important to know what your own style of approach is so that you can make sure your arguments are effective and productive for everyone involved. And even though sometimes your approach might clash with someone else's, that doesn't mean you should throw in the towel. Both sides can work together to find solutions that make everyone feel understood and satisfied. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends so we can keep.
ठीक है, चलो. What were the 5 styles of conflict resolution? Avoiding. What else? Compromising, collaboration, accommodating, competing. Correct. Now you noticed, right? Not all of these have, मतलब ऐसा है नहीं कि there is one which is perfect. All of these have their own difficulties or their own pros and cons as well, right? So now what we will do is we'll be having a bit of a questionnaire. Okay, let me just stop sharing. This is for you to do. Keep the response to yourself. Please do not share it with us. Okay, just solve the questionnaire and then tell me if you agree with the outcome. That's it. So you don't even have to tell me if आपको क्या लगता है अपने बारे में and result क्या आया. I just wanted to solve the test, right? Take the inventory. Let me know what was, if you agree with the outcome. Okay, can everyone see the link I sent on the group, on the chat? I will send it one more time. It's 7:59. Take 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and come back. Okay? If you have completed the test, please put it in the chat box. Done. Something like that. So then we can continue because we have thoda sa more left to cover today. Abhi aapko outcome, you wouldn't get an outcome based on the name of the style that you have. You will get something along the lines of positive problem solving score, withdrawal score, compliance score, conflict engagement score. And then you'll get this sort of, overview of what your score says. Right now, this is again a self-based inventory. This was just a way for you to understand more about the way you cope with yourself, with conflicts. Sorry. Okay. I hope everyone is done with the scale because it was a very easy, very short and sweet one. But is there anyone else who is still left to complete the inventory? Or can we move ahead? ठीक है, so then let's move ahead. ठीक है? Okay, Parasha. If you are still like, ongoing, that's okay. Take some time, right? Okay. So then we had the conflict resolution style inventory. No problem, Lavansh. I'll ask Shubham sir to send the link to you all later. ठीक है? तो अगर आपने लिया नहीं है तो आप तभी ले लेना. ठीक है. One second. Tell me, what makes a good leader? How would you define a good leader? Who makes a good leader? Taking options of everyone, taking opinions of everyone, having good communication skills, understanding how to be assertive, understanding how to leave, good communication skills, confident. Okay. How many people here think they are a good leader? Okay. Being able to make hard decisions, very good, Anaga. Not rigid with perspective. Yes. Excellent, right? Now, the thing is, the reason I asked you this question is not to say that, okay, some of you are a good leader, some of you are a very bad leader. I'm trying to say that all of us have a different style of leading. Because of that, we are good leaders. Okay? Every situation will require a different style of leading. And that is why it's important to know what kind of leadership styles there are. Okay? Can you not hear the audio? Not audible, no? One second. Hey. Okay. Give me a second. मैं चैट बॉक्स पे डालती हूँ ठीक है because even I can't hear. Can you all see the link I sent on the chat box?
Hi friends, today in this
Okay. Can you all hear it now when I was playing it on the screen? Hi friends.
video, I will discuss what is leadership style, what makes up a leadership style, some common leadership styles, and why it matters. Leadership style refers to the way a leader approaches tasks, makes decisions, and interacts with their team. It's basically their unique blend of behaviors and characteristics that shapes how they achieve goals and motivate others. Here's a breakdown of what makes up a leadership style. First, decision-making. How does the leader involve others? Do they make choices independently or consult with the team? Second, motivation. What techniques does the leader use to inspire and energize their team? Do they set a strong example or focus on individual growth? Third, communication. How does the leader share information and ideas? Are they direct and clear or more open-ended and collaborative? There are many different leadership styles, and some of the most common ones include 1. Authoritative leadership. Think decisive and inspiring. Authoritative leaders set a clear vision, make choices, and give direction. But they also build trust by being approachable and open to questions. They create a sense of confidence and stability within the team. 2. Democratic leadership or participative leadership. All about collaboration. Democratic leaders value input and encourage team participation in decision-making. They share information openly and consider different perspectives before making choices. This fosters a sense of ownership and engagement within the team. 3. Transformational leadership.
Imagine a charismatic visionari.
Transformational leaders are passionate and inspiring. They can motivate their teams to achieve extraordinary things by setting ambitious goals and igniting a sense of purpose. They challenge the status quo and push for innovation. 4. Transactional leadership. This is all about clear exchanges. Transactional leaders focus on setting goals, providing clear expectations, and offering rewards and recognition for good performance. They also establish consequences for not meeting expectations. This style works well in situations where there are clear tasks and processes. 5. Coaching leadership. Think development-oriented. Coaching leaders focus on helping individuals grow and reach their full potential. They provide guidance, mentorship, and constructive feedback to empower their team members. This fosters a culture of continuous learning and improvement. 6. Laissez-faire leadership or delegative leadership. This is about giving high autonomy. Laissez-faire leaders provide minimal guidance and allow their team members a lot of freedom and ownership over their work. They trust their team's expertise and ability to make decisions. This style works well with experienced and self-motivated teams. Now let's discuss why leadership style matters. The way a leader chooses to lead is very important for a number of reasons. It can significantly impact factors like 1. Team performance and motivation. The way a leader interacts with and motivates their team directly affects team morale, productivity, and overall performance. A democratic style might be ideal for fostering collaboration on a complex project, while an authoritative style could be better for providing clear direction in a fast-paced environment. 2. Employee engagement and satisfaction. When employees feel valued, heard, and supported by their leader, they're more likely to be engaged and satisfied in their roles. A coaching style can help employees develop their skills, while a laissez-faire style might suit team members who thrive with autonomy. 3. Decision-making efficiency and quality. A leader's style influences how decisions are made. A democratic approach can ensure all perspectives are considered, but might be slower for time-sensitive situations. An authoritative style can be efficient, but might miss valuable insights from the team. 4. Innovation and creativity. Some leadership styles are more conducive to fostering creativity and innovation than others. A transformational leader who challenges the status quo and inspires bold thinking can spark new ideas. In contrast, a transactional leader focused on clear processes might stifle creativity. 5. Company culture. A leader's style sets the tone for the overall company culture. An authoritative leader might create a more hierarchical environment, while a democratic leader could foster a more collaborative culture. Essentially, leadership style acts as a blueprint for how a leader interacts with their team and the organization. Choosing the right style can empower the team, improve decision-making, and drive success.
If you have any questions, feel free to.
Okay. So again, I'll ask you, what is the best leadership style? Is there a best leadership style? No. Because all leadership styles, I mean, every situation will require a leadership style, which will do well for the group, right? Depends on the people we're working with. Exactly. So sometimes you require to have a lazy spare, sometimes you require to have a um, democratic style and the goal as well. Exactly. If it's a more, far-fetched goal, then you require someone who's able to be more assertive and more, dominating a little bit, right? So again, all these styles, each style will have a different situation where it is used best, right? All right. Now here is a very quick little summary of the stages of team development. There is pre-stage, forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Right? ठीक है. Who can tell me what's forming? Group setting में, when you're getting into a group together, what is called the forming stage? Knowing each other, interacting, correct. So this is where we are trying to sort of understand each other. There is no set structure or hierarchy, and we don't know what our role is. We just know that these are some people I need to work with. Therefore, this is what my group comprises of. Then there is storming. What is storming? Yeah, brainstorming, discussing about the problem, discussing about the solutions, thinking of ideas. Here also everything is quite hazy. Okay, it's not structured, but people are learning about each other even more. Right? Forming mein there is a sense of formality, but storming mein people are talking more, learning about each other and trying to interact with each other. Then there is norming. What is norming? connecting, okay, assigning duties, coming to a few decisions, assigning tasks, assigning a basic hierarchy, like, who will be the leader, who will be the group members, who will be the person making the decisions, who will be working on which task. That is where we talk about norming. Then there is, of course, performing. Obviously, after you've decided किसको क्या करना है, कैसे करना है, कब करना है, आप करोगे जो assigned है, right? Showcasing our group, working on the group, working on the project, carrying the tasks, correct. And finally, there's adjourning. After you've completed the task, after you've completed the group project, if you don't have any need to continue being in the group, you will leave the group, right? So that is adjourning. So essentially, you are independent. Then you talk about forming a team with your people where you become a bit dependent. And then after the task is carried out, you go back to independence, right? So that is stages of team development. Now we talk about workplace motivation, and we're talking about Abraham Maslow's hierarchy, okay? We're saying that there are physiological needs, safety needs, love and belonging needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. What would come under physiological needs? Basic survival needs, correct. Roti kapda makan, yes, mother. Foods, clothes, medical aid, right? What is safety needs? You want to ensure that your body is safe, your mind is safe, the people you're working with, you're living with, their shelter, their secured environment. Correct. What about love and belonging? Social relations, emotions, friendships, romantic relationships, family, right? What about esteem needs? Goals, achievement for yourself, self-respect, belief, correct. When you feel like you're achieving something, then your self-esteem will increase, right? Finally, there's self-actualization. So what is self-actualization? You have become someone, you have achieved the goals that you wanted to. Iram, nothing like perfect. Let's decenter that word of perfection. No one is perfect. Self-actualization means reaching your full potential. Very good, Rahat. It is knowing who you are. It is giving your best shot at something. Even if it doesn't work out, you're learning from that experience, right? So becoming your best version, your fullest potential is what's called self-actualization. Now, Abraham Maslow said that you can't reach self-actualization if you don't have these four needs met. If you don't have physiological safety, love and belonging, and esteem needs, you can't reach self-actualization. But of course, this is not the case always, right? Like, there are people who do things for the sake of a thrill. They may do things for, you know, excitement, like bungee jumping or scuba diving, etc. That has nothing to do with their physiological and safety needs or their love and belonging needs for that matter. That entirely has to do with their esteem and self-actualization needs. मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है इसलिए मैं स्कूबा डाइविंग कर रहा हूँ. Am I getting any physiological safety from it? Am I getting reduction from it? No. I'm doing it because I like the activity. Right? So Abraham Maslow की theory का सबसे बड़ा critique was the fact कि not everything happens step by step. Not all of us proceed from physiological to safety to love and belonging to esteem to self-actualization. Sometimes we jump between these needs. Sometimes I require to have people to, like for example, if we're talking about an orphan, for them, love and belonging would be more important, right? So it's a lot of more flexibility. It's not as rigid as this. ठीक है? Aradhya, I think when you're at a teenage age, you haven't experienced a lot of life. So you don't know what their full potential is because you still have so much more to learn. Right? Okay. Now, finally, we talk about stress and burnout. Now, the thing is, a lot of people use burnout very casually. It is not. Please remember, and I reiterate this so many times, burnout is a sign of a mental condition which shows that you are clinically exhausted. It is not just being extremely tired. ठीक है? Therefore, it's important to remember burnout is a clinical term. It's a term referring to extreme exhaustion to the point of dissociation, to the point of lack of interest, to the point of lack of motivation, to the point of isolation. It is not just कि आप बहुत थक गए हो तो आप burnt out हो. There is a reason the clinical diagnosis, is there, right? So let's talk a little bit about burnout. Let's watch this video and then we'll discuss, okay?
Why does it seem like you spend
Can you all hear?
most of your time in bed, lying down and not doing much lately? Are you someone who easily gets tired and doesn't feel like doing anything? Do you label this kind of behavior as mere laziness and nothing more? There's actually a lot of overlap between laziness and burnout that can make it difficult to differentiate between the two. Burnout is a negative state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive stress and inability to cope with it. And as of 2010, a survey reported that approximately 75% of adults in the United States alone have experienced symptoms of burnout, with over 40% of cases being more severe. Now, more than ever, it's become imperative to educate and better understand the nature of burnout. So with that said, here are 6 telltale signs that what you're experiencing right now isn't actually laziness, but burnout. Number 1, you feel disconnected from everything. Are you going through the motions of every day as if on autopilot? Is there a persistent feeling of being detached from your own self? If you're suffering from burnout, one of the things you might be experiencing but don't quite realize or understand is depersonalization. People experiencing depersonalization, most commonly those struggling with trauma, report feeling a strange sort of emotional numbness or emptiness, as if they were watching life from outside of themselves. They don't feel like themselves anymore. They don't feel engaged by anything, and they constantly struggle with the overwhelming sense of helplessness and inability to take back control of their lives. Number 2, you used to be motivated. Laziness is a character trait, and character traits tend to remain stable over time. A lazy person doesn't ever feel like exerting effort or applying themselves to things. But if you used to be self-motivated and high-achieving, often excelling in certain areas, and have only recently become exhausted, apathetic, and unmotivated, then it's more likely that you're suffering from burnout and not laziness like most people would think. Number 3, you used to be passionate. A clear difference between someone who's burnt out and someone who's lazy is that the former used to have things they were passionate about, but may now be struggling to find interest or enjoyment in anymore. Whether it's a talent, a sport, or just your academic or professional performance in general, burnout can make it hard for you to do the things you once loved or felt passionate about. You might even come to hate or resent it because of how much you overworked yourself and pushed yourself to the brink because of it. Ouch. Number 4, you've become moody and irritable. Do you suddenly find yourself snappy and easily irritated? Do you often feel emotionally out of control nowadays and don't know why? Moodiness and irritability are common but often overlooked signs of burnout. So if you start to have trouble controlling your emotions, especially when it never used to be a problem for you, this might be the reason why. Lazy people, on the other hand, are a stark contrast to this because they're often very relaxed, laid back, placid, and unaffected by things. Number 5, you've neglected your self-care. One of the most distressing warning signs that someone may be emotionally and physically burnt out is if you start neglecting your self-care and socially withdraw from others. There are concerning changes in your eating and or sleeping patterns. You stop making an effort to groom yourself or look good, and you tend to spend most of your time by yourself doing nothing because you're so easily exhausted by even the simplest of tasks. The difference between being burnt out and laziness are starkly in the fact that you weren't always this way. And number 6, these changes happened gradually. Finally, but perhaps most importantly, something you should know about burnout is that it develops in stages. So all of the points mentioned before, losing interest and motivation, especially in things we used to love, feeling detached from yourself and disconnected from everything around you, socially withdrawing and neglecting your self-care, won't just happen overnight. Studies show that there are actually 5 major stages of burnout, each with increasing degrees of severity. The honeymoon phase, the onset of stress, chronic stress, burnout, and habitual burnout. Many people begin to experience symptoms as early as the 2nd phase, when there is still a moderate amount of stress, but optimism, interest, motivation, and performance may already start declining. And by the time you reach the fifth and final stage, burnout has already become so embedded in your life that the persistent mental and physical fatigue become more intense and harder to treat, making you more vulnerable to developing depression and anxiety. Spotting the signs of burnout early makes it all the more easier for you to get help and recover from it. That's why it's so important to raise awareness about burnout instead of simply dismissing it as laziness, like most people tend to do. So if you or anyone you know may be suffering from mental or emotional burnout, please don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health care professional today and talk to them about it. If you
ठीक है. What is burnout, guys? What is burnout? What if one only does not find interest or joy in things they don't really have? Constant attachment, mental physical exhaustion, extremely tired, lose interest. ठीक है. So if I was to ask you, if these are the signs and symptoms and these are the definitions of burnout, what are the ways we can take care of ourselves? How can we take care of ourselves and how can we reduce the chances of getting burnt out? Self-care, giving yourselves a break, don't let others impact your personal life. Very good. Very good. Doing different things. More importantly, right, it lies in the work-life balance part of it. Okay? If you are constantly stressed out all the time, if your work-life balance में there is a concern, अगर आप properly balance नहीं कर पा रहे हो, that will definitely push you to such an extent that you may experience signs and symptoms of burnout. Which is why it's important to give yourselves break, to take care of yourselves, to engage in healthy habits like going for a walk, exercising, talking to your friends, not doing things in isolation so that you feel a little bit more active and engaged and you feel connected with people, right? So these are some ways to ensure that burnout reduce हो जाए and possibility ही ना हो burnout की, right? ठीक है. Okay, we have like 3-4 minutes remaining. Good evening, ma'am. Is there a session on 25th June? Lavansh, I'm not very sure. Parisha, which video are you talking about, bache? I'm not sure what the next session का date is. I know कि 18th को एक session होगा. उसके बाद I think Shubham will update both of us. ठीक है? As of right now, we have our next class on 18th. We're going to be talking about AI and psychology. Parisha, I think I've shared my email ID with you already, so I did share it a little earlier, right? ठीक है. Um, hmm. Anyone has any questions about what we discussed today? Yes, Parisha. You can send me a video. You can please CC someone from the RiarPro team. ठीक है? Keeping in mind that I don't see any questions coming up. Next session, we're going to be doing AI and psychology, AI and mental health. We'll do a little bit of case analysis as well. Yeah, Iram, that sounds good. EI and peer relations में तो you can interview a lot of different people as well, but whatever age group you find is good. ठीक है? What I'm going to do now is next session में we will have a discussion on AI and mental health, AI and psychology, and उसके बाद we'll save like 10 minutes in the next session to discuss a little bit about the report of your assignment, of your project. ठीक है? So then that is the last phase of your project. उसके बाद आप ready करके आप submit कर सकते हो. ठीक है? So that's what we'll do in the next class. We'll be doing AI and mental health and AI and psychology. We'll do a little bit of a 10-minute devoted time to discussing any project doubts you have. Review of literature, Aradhya, I have mentioned it to be from researchers. So please try and use researchers. Please use anonymity, right? When you're using a particular person's answers, please write their initials. Do not write their name. You can write a summary. These are things I'll explain when I talk to you about the report. So give it some time. We'll discuss it in the next class. ठीक है? Okay. All right then, guys. Lavansh, as I mentioned, we'll talk about it in the next class. Please have some patience. I won't be leaving you all I won't be leaving you confused about it. I'll clarify the next steps. Don't worry. But as of right now, I would like you all to take the answers for your questions. And by 18th or maximum Saturday, have your questionnaire, your answers ready. Sahaj, we discussed this last week, last week, but we've talked about it a lot, so I'm not going to be repeating this. Okay? Okay. All right then, guys. Thank you so much for coming in today. I will see you all on 18th. Okay? And please remember, do your work independently. Please do your work independently. Please don't use ChatGPT. Don't use AI because I would like you all to think about things. Okay? Aradhya, I've shared links as well, so you can search about that as well. Pihu, I've sent it earlier itself, so I'll just ask Shubham to send it again. Okay? Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Take care. Good night, and I'll see you all soon. How are you all feeling? Sorry, forgot to check in. How are you all feeling after today's session? We learned a lot about applied psychology and how we use psychology in different realms of work, right? So, good, amazing. Maybe next time you are looking at an advertisement, you will view it from an analysis point of view rather than just, seeing it and being like, अच्छा, ketchup का ad है. ठीक है, cool. So, oh God, परेशान है. ठीक है, cool. I'll see you all next class then, guys. Take care. Bye bye. Good night. Sleep well.